Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Anna Sabramowicz here. Hope you can hear me. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Um, Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so today I really wanted to talk to you about Project Overwhelm. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is because I've been having some amazing strategy sessions this week. And one of the things that frequently comes up is that many of the people that I talk to are like a one-person design department, and they have they're the person who not only begins their work. Hi, Med. Not only are they the person who begins the project and scopes it and does all the research, but they're also the person that all the way to the end develops the learning, right? I don't know how many of you are a one person design department, but that can be pretty intense considering you're not only being the experienced designer, the UX UI designer, you're also being the project manager, the task master. There's a lot of things on your plate. So what's kind of terrifying is that when we're talking about designing e-learning or designing any kind of learning solution, there's this pressure, and I don't know if this is the industry or because we are all looking at some amazing learning out there online, that every time somebody approaches you with a request, that your job is to become basically the person who is going to take any idea that comes into their head and somehow make it a reality. And it's funny because I used to work at those departments where we'd have subject matter experts come in with some idea and a manager come in with some idea, and then somebody would say, yeah, whatever you want, we can build it. And I thought, that's crazy. Like, we can't create bespoke learning solutions for somebody when you're like the only person on that team, right? That's really unscalable. And that's one of the things that I even learned when I had this interview. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Allen Interactions, right? They design, it's Michael Allen's company. They design top of the line, super immersive, gamified learning stuff, right? So I talked to the co-founder, and the system for their development, like when they design learning, what they do is they have a team of people, and that team of people goes over to like the site where like the training is going to be developed, which is like Coca-Cola, Disney, like they've handled like the big companies, right? So they'll go down there and they'll have like these discovery sessions, brainstorming sessions, basically lock people in a room together, subject matter experts, project sponsors, and everybody comes up with this amazing idea. And I thought, wow, that's just so unscalable for so many people, right? And then you look at this process and you look at SAM, the successive approximation model, basically, and you're like, wow, how can I do something like that? And so you also think that that's something that you need to do. But after I had that conversation with Steve Lee, who's the partner in that business, he said, and he didn't say it explicitly, but this is what I drew from it. Those things are expected in a company that is spending, $250,000 on a solution, let's say, because that's what happens, right? So it's expected that there's going to be a lot of upfront people work. And in reality, though, as far as, you're trying to discover the special context of that learning, but in reality, what you're going to produce, the kinds of models you're going to use for your learning is going to be kind of consistent. So maybe upfront, you don't want to say, we're going to figure out what you need, and we're actually going to pull out one of these models off the shelf, and we're just going to make it look super cool because you're a special customer. But people don't say that, right? They'll say, we're going to come up with something innovative and amazing just for you, and you're good. We're the learning experts, right? We know which models support which kinds of learning. So in the end, what they're really doing is gathering a lot of context. They're gathering a lot of buy-in because people feel invested in those ideas that they came up with. But in the end, you as a learning expert are going to basically pull something off the shelf that makes a best fit and then offer it to them, right? So I have a visual for you today, of course. So this is what I wanted you to think about, because a lot of you maybe you don't have a team to send down to where the customer is. Maybe you need to actually, do the scoping all on your own, do the research all on your own, and talk to the subject matter experts all on your own. So if you're that kind of, if that's what you're doing, this is for you, because I've been there. So basically what you're doing is, your job is to gather that special context of the learning, right? What are we trying to achieve? What are we, where is this going to be applied? What's the reality? Because the more we get of this, the better we understand the end user, the learner at the end. We're going to be able to craft something that's way more meaningful for them, right? But right here, we're not going, the world is our option for any, like, we're not doing that. All we're doing is right here is just capturing the context of the learning situation and also the business goals, because we want to align as much as possible our scenarios to real life situations. And the closer you understand how that ties into a business goal, even better, right? It's not pie in the sky stuff. Like, the reason you're shredding this piece of paper and I'm making sure that you do shred it is because if you don't, then our business is going to be sued and you'll lose your job. So I have to, the more I can make those connections for you, the better this is going to be, right? So you're basically gathering the raw materials, all right? And then you take this stuff, this raw materials, which you've captured in a very systematic way, by the way. It's not haphazard. You're not just having like convos with people going, hey, tell me what you think. It's not like that. It's very structured, because you have to be super efficient, because you have a framework and a system that you're feeding this to. And regardless of whether you think, there's all these teams up front designing things and ideating designs, in the end, they're doing a lot of this. When they're capturing those how things are in the going to look, where somebody's going to apply, they're really capturing context, because the framework and the system underneath, trust me, it does not change. It does not change, because there's only so many ways you can actually design an interaction that will either help somebody practice making a good decision, practice memorizing something, practice recalling something, practice having a conversation with somebody. So that can only be done in certain ways, because it mimics real life, right? So don't think that you have to come up with these amazing things from scratch, or that when somebody has an idea that you need to even consider going custom. Because if you have a framework and a system, then the other stuff, how something looks, what kind of font it has, what kind of characters you're going to use, all that is just extra detail that helps somebody put it in context. So you don't have to overwhelm yourself by thinking that every single solution is going to be custom, or every single piece is going to have to be so creative because this person's asking for something new and engaging. What's engaging? Engaging is really good context and aligning things with what people want. So I hope this was helpful to you, because like I said, I've been having a lot of conversations with designers who look at the pieces that are out there, and they're overwhelmed by the idea that they won't be able to keep up with all those projects because they've got like 25 things going on. And so if you can only devote 1/25 of your time to a project, there's no way you can actually make good progress on any project if you're just distracted by so many others. So the only way you can really ensure quality on the projects that you're designing is to consistently have a framework and a system, right? Especially a framework that you are connecting their goal to. And so you pull that off the shelf and say, here, I've got this ready for you. And it ensures that even at its lowest, even if you cannot dedicate 100% of your attention to it, because this is already developed and because you're just pulling it off the shelf saying this is like this, what happens is you're able to produce a better quality product. Because now if you're refining something that's it's a consistent product, you can say, okay, that didn't work, let's tweak it a bit. So you're using, in fact, the scientific method to improve what you're delivering. Because if you're always coming up with things from scratch, there's no consistency. You can't see where it breaks. You can't see where it needs refinement. So you start with a simple framework, and then what happens is as you launch, as you get feedback, you can go back and refine it. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? You don't have to scrap everything, because there's consistent frameworks that you can use to make all learning happen. That's just the truth. So don't start from scratch. The details that you're getting, don't let them overwhelm you. You just have to quickly realize when you're doing that initial discovery, you're trying to gather the context and the big goals. And you're not reinventing the wheel here. You're using something consistently. So I'm off on a walk right now with my family. I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Now, if you have questions about overwhelm, if you have questions about scenarios, if you have questions about designing your own, please, you can actually just book a call with me. We can talk about it on a strategy session, because one of the things I want to do is find out exactly where you're struggling so that I can see if I can help you. And also, what happens is through these conversations, as I figure out what people are really struggling with, I can put together some helpful resources so that you get more help with your projects, right? So if you want to do this, get in touch. I believe it is scenariodesignSecrets.com/schedule. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll talk to you later, my friends. Bye.